This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Season 1, Episode 6, the finale, One World. One world,
one people.
The fight you taking on ain't gonna be easy, Sam.
Yeah, I might fail. Shit, I might die. But we built this country. Bled for it. I'm not gonna let anybody tell me I can't fight for it. Not after what everybody before me went through. Including you.
Shit. I almost bought that.
Man, do you ever lighten up?
Nope.
I hear a lot of people saying the blues, but I'm gonna tell you what the blues is. When you ain't got no money, you got the blues. When you ain't got no money.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders. This is the Defenders podcast on TV Podcast Industries. This time we're talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale, Episode 6, One World.
One people.
One people.
Yes.
Almost had it together that time.
One
Yeah.
people.
We
my
are
Bender
here.
impression.
It is the finale. It is Captain America and the Winter Soldier. We are here to talk about it in all its glory. Wing smashing, high flying, shield bashing, batroc leaping, glory and everything. It's all here. They basically threw the kitchen sink at this, gentlemen.
Yeah, this is a big episode.
But in order to even get into it, we need to introduce the host. I am Chris.
I'm one of your other hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow defenders. I am one of your other hosts, John.
They did throw the kitchen sink at this episode, Chris, but we also are on the heels of the announcement of Captain America 4, the fourth movie in the Captain America series, starring Anthony Mackie as Captain America. So we already know, before we recorded this episode, that this is going to be the sequel to the first season of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is going to be a Captain America movie written by Malcolm Spellman, the showrunner for the show. So that's kind of exciting to already know that we're not waiting for a confirmation of a season 2 of this show.
Oh yeah, no, and I think this is a fantastic way of doing it from Disney, which is going to be a season and a film, a season and a film. Like if they continue this on, because essentially this is what we got with WandaVision.
Basically,
We
yeah.
got a season and a film with her appearing as co-star of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Exactly.
So this is an interesting way of doing it. It's like, essentially, here is all the background you need to know in a huge 6 or 8 hour, 4 hour, whatever, 6 or 8 episode extravaganza, and then continued on with 2.5 hours of a beautiful theatrical release that you can watch without watching the background shows, but it's enhanced by this kind of basically. We always kind of used to ask like, why is Cap doing this? But now we know why Cap is doing this ahead of the film.
Exactly. So very exciting news to kick off the podcast. We'll get into
definitely.
We'll get into our discussion about episode 6 of the show in a second. Just a quick bit of feedback from last week. I know Chris and John, you were asking if anybody had some feedback on the less than honourable discharge from the army from last episode that John Walker got. Steve Bren sent us an email. He said, Derek, you are completely right. There is honourable discharge, general discharge under honourable circumstances other than honourable discharge, and dishonourable, which is basically like felony convictions. It's on every job application you fill out for the rest of your life. There's a bad conduct discharge, which is rarely used. General discharge is used when the troop has done something to get kicked out and does not want to go to court. I did have a troop get popped for marijuana, but he got a general discharge because he didn't want to go to court about it, where normally he would have gotten other than honourable or dishonourable discharge. There you go.
Wow.
Interesting stuff, yeah.
Thank you so much, Steve. Like, again, we are an Irish podcast, talking about sometimes American things, so this is actually useful to know. It just gives more flavour and background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We also have a voicemail feedback from Greg Schwam.
Hey guys, this is Greg. I just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback with regard to the honorable versus other than honorable versus dishonorable discharges from the military, or from the U.S. military. So long story short, if you were working in a grocery store, or a department store, if you did your job and went through your time and you said, hey, okay, I want to quit, or I want to go get a job offer somewhere else, or whatever the case is, and you quit or gave your 2 weeks notice or whatever, and you left, that would be like an honorable discharge, right? So you have like a positive recommendation or references or whatever the case is. A dishonorable discharge would be like you committed a crime, and so you stole something from the department store that you were working for, and hey, you committed a crime and there were other proceedings and whatnot, and you were prosecuted and you lost your job, and now anytime you go to apply for a job, it's going to be like, hey, this guy stole from me, so you probably shouldn't hire him. And other than honorable discharge is kind of the middle ground. Like, so it'd be basically, hey, you weren't very good at your job, but you didn't break any rules, so we're just going to let you go and basically say, hey, you don't have a reference or a positive reference from us. So that's basically the difference. So hope that helped. So the other than honorable discharge, given that he basically committed a war crime, basically is he's getting off easy, but not like, hey, you are going to be able to get benefits and whatnot. All right. Look forward to the last episode. Bye.
Thank you, Greg. Those examples actually helped so much. So he's not getting his recommendation. Although it's okay, Val is going to take him at his word. But don't call her Val.
Exactly. Thanks so much for that, Greg. Yeah, that is really useful.
Yes.
Thank you, fellow defenders, for that feedback, and we asked for and we did receive, so that is fantastic. But that is enough chit-chat, because we have a spoiler-filled discussion of our finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Excuse me, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Oh yes, it is episode 6. It is the finale. It is all here. If you're joining us for the first time, cool. Welcome to the finale. But make sure you head on over to tvpodcastinterviews.com, where you can send in your feedback. You can leave us a voicemail. You can subscribe, like, and share, record, all the fun things. Yes, but if you just want to do the odd email, don't forget you can head on over to feedback@tvpodcastinterviews.com and send us your thoughts for this whole season. And we will be, yes, fellow defenders, we will be doing a wrap-up where we talk about your thoughts, and the inevitable, amazing pub quiz results will be next episode. So make sure you get in your results. Yes. Make sure you get in your answers. Make sure you get in your feedback. And next episode, we will be discussing all of that. Derek, do you want to give us the episode details?
Absolutely, yes. This episode was written by showrunner Malcolm Spellman and Joseph Sawyer. We've talked about Malcolm Spellman before and his credits. Joseph Sawyer is a writer on the upcoming 3rd season of Power on Stars. So I think he's done about 8 episodes of that. So quite a big responsibility for him on that 3rd season over on Stars. But Carrie Scogland is the director once again, has directed every episode of this series. I am wondering with that announcement that Malcolm Spellman is going to be writing the Captain America 4 movie. Will Carrie Scogland make the leap from the Disney Plus show over into directing the movie as well? That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Not gonna lie, it might be a really good thing, but I suppose they might hold that off until closer in development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's either that or the Russo brothers might return to do another Captain America movie.
Yeah.
No.
Probably not. But John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the episode?
Sure. As the Flag Smashers implement their plan on the Global Refugee Council members, Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon, aka Captain America, flies in with the shield in hand to stop the attack, wearing his new Captain America uniform and flight suit. Aided by Bucky Barnes and Sharon Carter, they attempt to stop the Flag Smashers from kidnapping the GRC. As they close in on Carly Morgenthau and her band of Flag Smashers at a construction site, they are joined by John Walker, intent on revenge for the death of Lamar and sporting his newly constructed Captain America shield minus 2.0. Sam arrives in time to save the GRC members, but Carly escapes into the construction site, where she is intercepted by Batroc and Sharon, her former boss, the Power Broker. With her identity revealed, Batroc is shot by Sharon, who in turn is shot and injured by Carly. As Sam arrives, he tries to reason with Carly, but as the standoff becomes more tense, Carly is shot by Sharon. In the aftermath of the GRC crisis, Sam convinces the leaders to use their power wisely, and they postpone their forced relocation of the post-blip displaced people. At the raft, Baron Zemo relaxes to the news that the remaining super soldier flag smashers captured by Bucky and John Walker were blown up by Zemo's butler en route to prison.
Mm-hmm.
John Walker receives a new uniform from Countessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, with the codename US Agent, while Bucky follows Sam's advice and makes amends with the innocent people he hurt as the Winter Soldier. Meanwhile, Sam reconnects with Isaiah Bradley and reveals a memorial dedicated to him at the Captain America exhibition at the Smithsonian. In a mid-credit scene, Sharon Carter receives her pardon from the US government and rejoins the Secret Services, where she plans to exploit her access to secrets and weaponry as the power broker.
And maybe more, which we will definitely be talking about in our points for this episode. I think we're going to break down the episode as we normally do with our top 5 bullet points, but this time I think we're going to talk about our characters. Would that be the right way to do it this time?
Yeah, I think so, because it is very much punchy, actiony.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the whole episode, so it probably makes sense to talk about the characters themselves and what they do from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
No?
You're not allowed
Only
to say
kidding. Yes, it does make sense.
So, let's kick it off. Straight up there. Let's talk about our Captain Americas.
Mm-hmm.
In more ways than one. Let's kick off with Sam.
Yes, what a great intro to the new suit. We kind of hear him talking to Bucky in the earpiece saying he's arriving in the city. From overhead, you kind of see the silhouette of Falcon, but you don't see the suit until the initial big moment as he's coming in through the window trying to save the GRC members from being attacked by the flag smashers. And it's so cool seeing the shield flying in through the window and Falcon coming in behind it. Real hero moment. It really felt like the movies on TV again.
Yeah, this was awesome. Just so cool. Seeing him fly in and just the new suit reveal, the shield, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was just really cool to see Sam Wilson in the Captain America suit that had been made by the Wakandans and carrying that shield, more importantly.
Yep.
I think, for
Doing
sure.
a couple of Captain America moves, putting the shield on his back and it's sticking to it exactly like Captain America used to have. He had his little kick moment where he kicks the shield up into his arm as well. So, he is truly Captain America here.
Yeah, it's really good because, I mean, as well, you know, he's not a super soldier. He's not had that serum. So, you know, the fight with Batroc, it felt more grounded. You know, it felt, real. He's got to use still his flight pack. You know, he's still got he's now got the shield as well. Plus we have, you know, Sam Wilson has his red wings. They are back. He's got 2 of them.
Yeah.
So that was really cool seeing them sort of in that effectively airborne taxi chase with the helicopter. That's the great thing about Falcon or Captain America with wings. Dare I say it is like Captain America has drank Red Bull. He has his wings, and it just really adds, like, you can have this airborne chase with the helicopter, like we saw in the first episode.
Absolutely. But just
really
before
good.
Quickly we go a little more in depth into the helicopter chase. Chris, what do you think of the suit, the actual new suit for Cap?
So I do like it. It's ripped straight from the comic books. It looks fantastic. It's bulky. I think that's the kind of one thing. It just looks bulkier, but then again, I suppose this is why Cap and all the rest of them are able to have that more sleek, is because they are enhanced via the super soldier serum. So he is still a man. And the one thing I'll call out is in that fight with Batroc, for example, he fires the shield at Batroc and Batroc kicks the chair at the shield.
Yeah.
And the shield just lands. He's a man of peak physical fitness, but he's still not enhanced with that kind of when he's throwing the shield. So
yeah, he's still learning that shield craft, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I suppose, but it looks great. It flies great. It's fun. It's just, I can see them. This is the V1. This is essentially like they'll over time. I can see them throughout the films, and the iconic uniform of Captain America at the end of Avengers. that's where I see we'll get. Like, this is his first Avenger outfit, which was quite bulky and big, and Shuri will go, oh, I came up with a new version, and here's slightly sleeker.
Maybe.
Or you'll get Hank Pym maybe going, oh, here's one that, like, the wings zap in and out as you need them. Or here's a air energy version wings. Like, I can see them adding to it over time now.
Yeah, maybe. I think this one's going to last through the movie, and I think the choice here of it being bulkier is that it's armoured, because he's not super soldier, so it has to be a bit bulkier. It has to have some armour built into it, to protect him from those punches and hits that Cap could have taken, I suppose, that Steve Rogers' Cap could have taken being a superpower soldier.
Yeah, I mean, I think the look of the new suit is really good. I love the addition of the wings. I think that just adds this other dimension to what Captain America can do. Really, really liked it, like, as well. But it's that kind of, it's that smashing of Falcon suit and the Captain America suit for the new Captain America. And, I thought it looked really, really good. But I have to say, if I had ordered online from Wakanda and had received that, bulky is the right word. I was thinking more frumpy, I guess. I do feel that Wakandans would have made something sleeker with the technology that they have and with the same amount of strength, because he's not super powered. So I understand it needs to be more armored, but like, you look at the Black Panther suit, and you look at the designs of those, even say with, Ant-Man, they feel a bit more streamlined, and I felt that would also have helped with his aerodynamics if he's flying. So I think the Wakandans missed a beat here in the sleekness of the design and incorporating vibranium elements into it a bit, like, and like the energy thing, that would be really good, because that would help Sam effectively level up on power, as an unpowered, non-serum taking, regular at peak physical fitness guy.
Interesting. I think they did a great job of not making it look like one of the Wakandan suits, effectively, because we saw two of those in the Black Panther movie. I think it was cool to make something that fit the character of Falcon too. My favorite use of the suit definitely is in the fight with Carly Morgenthau, where she kicks the shield, and he's holding the shield up and opens the wings behind it to plant himself. It's like, okay, this is a new Captain America with new abilities here.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
I love the use of the wings here. I dare say, I guess Disney Plus will be really disappointed in me saying it, but I love the way, a bit like the Paramount stars, the Falcon tipped his wings into the water when he was chasing the helicopter, or like a Swift that dips and skims the water.
Right.
I love
Not
that
the
little
Paramount
touch
stars,
of him doing that. It did feel like a bird movement, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And the other animal reference is when he protects himself and the cop from the helicopter smashing down on him, and he puts the wings round him and the shield on top. And I had just thought of the testudo, the tortoise formation of like Roman soldiers, where they kind of all move in a square.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that building up of energy in the suit, like the Black Panther suit, would really have made sense in terms of the helicopter hitting him. Because I still think, well, Sam's could have been smashed under that, because he still needs the strength to hold that
Shield.
whole shield. And so having the energy, thing that would have kind of, helicopter hits and it just goes pings off like a bouncy ball. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they're just
Would have
saving
been
that
really cool.
technology for their king, remember? So
Yeah,
that is
true.
the only available to Black Panther in Wakanda.
Well,
so
that
maybe
is-
they just wanted to save it for their king.
that is
just
true.
in case he ever gets into a fight with Falcon in the future. You don't want to prepare him for that fight
Yeah.
and make the two of them equals, right?
No, that's true. And I just to quickly say, I do like the new suits. I felt there would be more tech elements from the Wakandan tech.
Okay.
Not necessarily the design, not that it would have Wakandan iconography through it, would have the Captain America iconography. I think they would, that would, in the design of it, it's more the technology. That the Wakandans have, because they are massively advanced in comparison to America, in terms of their tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, look, all hail the new Captain America. Oh, excuse me, Black Falcon. Sorry. No, that's Captain America.
Absolutely.
That scene was brilliant. Come on. I was so happy.
It was good.
Yeah.
But I definitely had flashbacks to Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
in New York. That was the kind of feeling where it's this moment of everybody filming what's going on with Falcon, and somebody calls out, "Oh, Black Falcon, isn't he great?" And another one of the people filming on their phone goes, No, that's Captain America. It works really well in the cinema and worked great in the cinema with Spider-Man 2. It can come a little bit cheesy, kind of moment.
Yeah. And I love that he's got his red wings back, and it's 2 for the price of 1 now. He's got 2 red wings, and I loved how they use Red Wing in this, because first time of watching it through, I didn't catch the moment where Sam says, identify who's on the helicopter.
See if anybody on the helicopter
to
is a pilot.
see if they can pilot it.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, the first one through, I was like, well, how did he know that? And I just thought he knew the senator or the person from the GRC. Mm-hmm. But I loved how they integrated that, and then how it helped him because he's not powered. I thought that was just a real great moment where he uses them by planting them on the bonnet of the van to kind of push with his own backpack the van to save the council members.
Yeah, that was very cool. Very cool. Wouldn't it have been hilarious if he'd sent out Red Wing to find out who was the pilot, and it came back and went, the pilot is the pilot that's sitting in the front seat. That's
squeak,
the only
squeak,
person
squeak,
up where they
squeak,
can fly.
Squeak,
exactly.
squeak.
Exactly. Very cool scene. They're repeating kind of the big action scene of the first episode where he dives through the 2 doors, taking out the pilot, and the minister from the Philippines, I think it is, who's the pilot, sits in the front seat and is able to take it over. Really good action scene. A really, you could see how the dynamism in the scene, you could really see that playing on a big screen. I totally want to see that in a cinema in some point in the future. It'd be cool. I'm
going to give them the props. Like, the action throughout this was, like, they wasted, like, they did the Disney Plus money. Like, this was 40 minutes of the opening sequence from episode 1. Like, it was just constant, like, high energy choreography, like wire work, CGI. Like, this was a large MCU film. Yeah. But for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and the rest was the talkie-talkie, which is always good. Talkie-talkie is still good.
That's what I was just about to say, Chris, because you just mentioned the big action sequence. That is a massive part of the episode, but within Sam and what's happening in this episode, his ability to talk out a situation is really important to the character that we found throughout this season. Yeah. And in the next, I suppose, part of this point here, we have his face-off with Carly first, where he's absolutely refusing to fight her. He's trying to talk her down still. And that kind of leads to his big speech to the GRC. This moment when he has a second after saving them, after landing in the center of New York with all of them, telling them that what they're doing is not including the people that they're trying to protect or the people that they're trying to save. They're not including them in the room. And I think it's a really, really empowering speech. Feels like this is our true new Captain America. Yeah. Again, a person that is able to take those moments to tell people, look, think about what you're doing. You're coming from the wrong place. You're making these decisions not for the people that have voted you in or not for the people that you're supposed to be supporting. You need to think about those people and make sure they're in the room with you, at least in your mind, so that you're making the right decisions. This is effectively to correct the decision that the GRC seems to have made to essentially set up camps for the displaced people, post the blip, the people that have been displaced by people coming back from the blip. So I thought it was a really good decision.
It's really important because it's just so well done. I think, the writing in that speech that Captain America, Sam Wilson, does to the GRC members with, the media looking on and so on. After he's brought Carly's body back from that construction site to take her, at least, to bring her to an ambulance. She has died. She has been shot. Yeah. But, and certainly that image of him coming down, it was very angelic, with her in his arms, or, the eagles from Lord of the Rings, I guess, bringing, helping Gandalf. And then the speech, because it's coming at it's coming at that point of view of knowing where Carly comes from in terms of their situation. This idea of having a power that is so great, like he says, you can take out a forest, you can start a war, that kind of power, and the fact that, you know, you just have the same people in the room when you make those decisions. People with power. You don't have the people that you're going to impact.
Exactly.
And it's the empathy that he brings to that speech, and the idea of labels is just really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it. I mean, there are a few moments in here where I got emotional. And I think having, you know, Sam Wilson as Captain America, definitely one of them, but in a kind of, you know, a yay kind of moment.
Exactly.
And then, these speeches that he had, and also the meeting with Isaiah, you know, I got a little moist, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally understand that. And the important thing about Sam's speech as well is he's not telling them what to do. In fact, he's telling them, I don't know what to do. It is complicated, and it should be. Your job should be complicated. Yeah. You need to think about it. That's what you're here for. You need to take a moment to step back, think about it rather than reacting as if everybody's out to kill you and everybody's a murderer. You need to think about what you're doing to the people that you're supposed to be responsible for.
Yeah.
It's a really good way of having Sam incorporate his identity into this situation.
He uses that subtle thing of trying to get empathy with the people that he's speaking to, saying, you know, how did you feel when you've being helpless in that hostage situation where you don't have any control with the flag smashers, kidnapping you? You know, how did you feel?
Yeah.
In fact, you know, being in a van that's about to topple into a massive void of a construction site, and potentially kill them.
Yeah.
That moment of helplessness, and that, you know, these displaced people from after the blip, and that whole situation, that's how they feel. And also, you know, he does really, I guess his empathy bit, you know, where he says, I was just so happy when he said this. He says, every time I pick it up, I know people are going to hate it. You know, him having the shield and as a black Captain America. I know, you know, no blonde hair, no blue eyes. You know, I can feel the eyes on me now. And it's just like, it just meets that whole thing head on.
Absolutely.
And it was really, really good.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I got a text message. Jokes aside,
Great moment from Bucky.
Yes,
just diffusing the not tension, but diffusing this moment because they're buddies basically. Really, and you just call them Cap immediately afterwards as well. Which is really good. A great choice by Carrie Scoggin or the writer of the episode as well to have this all playing out in TV with all the characters you can't really incorporate into every moment of it. Watching this on screen, you see the reaction from Isaiah when Sam is explaining his situation. I know people are going to hate me. I know not everybody's going to want me as Captain America, but I'm going to do it anyway. And you see the joy in Isaiah when he's going, okay, well, he's made his choice now, and that's totally right for him.
No, this was emotional. I called out to my wife, essentially, this is airing, we're recording this on the 24th, this launched on the 23rd of April, and the same week, there was the verdict on the George Floyd case, and this is like we've had the US President Biden talking about race relations in the US. This was written and recorded months ago.
Yeah. It's amazing how stars align, isn't it? I guess.
Exactly, and I think it's just this for any of our African American kind of listeners. This could have had so much more impact and emotion behind it. Because, again, I'm a pasty-faced white man from Ireland. And yet I still felt this huge emotional impact to this.
Absolutely.
As this discussion happened. Yeah. And I think it was just, overall, I can't complain. I'm like, it's the way it came together. And I think that is going to be, as you said, this is the strength of this character of Sam Wilson. He was, above all else, in the initial, he was a counselor. Yes, he was an airman in the Air Corps and he's a soldier, but his job before coming into this was helping people, being that orator, like the debater. So this is what I can see him with a war of words in some of these greater, episodes or series, whatever, films, what we're going to get. He's going to have these discussions.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as I joked about, yes, we get the punchy, but now we're going to get these very strongly written talkies. In some
Absolutely,
of these seasons.
and that is totally fundamental to his character now. That is the Sam Wilson that we're going to get for the rest of the movies and in the future. I think that's really, really good. Speaking of moments that are affecting, I have to say the section with Isaiah where Sam goes to visit him after everything that's happened, goes back to visit him, kind of to talk to him about the fact that he's taken on this identity as Captain America and ignored the pretty strong advice that Isaiah was telling him, don't do this, basically. Yeah. And he has the conversation with him and then brings him to the Smithsonian exhibit that we've seen all the way back to Winter Soldier. This kind of exhibit all about Captain America and how great he was and this lost Avenger that disappeared for 30 years. And now in this exhibit itself, we have Isaiah. And there's this great tribute to him with a statue of him, in his army uniform. And just got to read the first line of it, but it's effectively saying he's been forgotten, too long. He won't ever be forgotten again, and giving the full detail of his service record. So, I think it's a beautiful moment, and you see it kind of pairing with Sam joking with Isaiah before, saying, you never crack, you never give me any leeway at all. And his grandson's laughing, saying that's what he's like all the time. And then Isaiah cracks and give Sam a big hug for finally acknowledging his contribution, which I think is a massive moment. And I definitely had a few tears in my eyes for that one.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And like the whole thing that the Smithsonian is exhibiting, the history of Isaiah Bradley and his role in not only the military, but as Captain America. Yeah. And it connects to the conversation in the backyard in Baltimore, between Sam and Isaiah and his grandson as well. You know, this idea of history and being effectively, removed from history. And this brings it back in. You know, Sam says that, we built this country, we bled for this country. No one's going to tell me I can't fight for it, not after all the pain and sacrifice, and in particular, seeing Isaiah Bradley there, his personal pain and sacrifice as well. Yeah. And like, it just connects so well. And it's also another real important facet of this conversation from this show.
Exactly. I also love just a little touch that I really enjoyed having Isaiah doing the gardening and lifting that massive plant.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes like 4 or 5 people to lift it. He just lifts it up and puts it in another location. Yeah. And there's no attention to drawn to it at all. It's just how powerful this guy is in his normal daily life doing the gardening.
Well, that's it. He's got the strength and he's got the delicate thing to put in the greens into the veg box.
There you go.
Yes. Did you think that I was waiting for the grandson just to kind of also pick one up? And that was just no attention, because in the comic books, the grandson is a character name he's a young Avenger called Patriot.
Yep.
So now we know he's in the MCU. I was expecting them just no mention, just him casually helping and picking up a plant pot, and then we're like, okay, the foreshadowing that he will become Patriot and Young Avenger.
Yeah, I totally expected a little bit of that.
There was none. I was like, oh no, come on.
But if we are going through characters in this episode, this is truly Sam's episode. So much time dedicated to this moment of him taking on the shield, taking on the mantle of Captain America, justifying it to the world as to why he's doing it, and talking about those issues, I suppose, that he had in making that decision. I think it's really well done. But the show itself, Falcon the Winter Soldier, let's go on to bullet point number 2. Bucky does have a pretty good storyline in this final episode as well.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely loved Sam's arc throughout this. A big part for me is Bucky's. Sebastian Stan, the emotion that he can just give in a look, is fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the fight scenes. We'll talk about the fight scenes last, because I did like some of the fight scenes that Bucky does, and launching himself on the motorbike was great. For me, the delivery of the book, him passing the book on, and the final name circled of Yuri, he has been avenging, as Sam calls out in the last episode, for all these wrongdoings. now he needs redemption. And he went, and we see him go to Yuri and essentially confess.
Yeah, and it was so well handled, so well written. As just, the Bucky's not a very talkative person in general. He's always trying to keep himself to himself. But the way it was delivered of your son was murdered by me, Yuri saying why, and he said, well, I didn't have a choice. And you can feel every bit of I didn't have a choice in the lines being delivered here. From Bucky, it really felt like the pressure that he's been under to try and explain to people that this is absolutely, completely controlled, forcing him to murder people, and he was unable to do anything about it. We hear in the conversation with Carly, he even says, I've stood up in the past for trying to stand up for something greater than myself. In World War II, he was the proper soldier. He was the one that was encouraging Steve to go into the army. He's a very righteous type of person, and all of his abilities were twisted, and he was completely out of control and sent to murder people over decades. And that, I love the psychology of that, all bound into that one line with you. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Sebastian Stan can act. His Wakandan scene from the previous episode and this one with Yuri. I loved Yuri from the first few episodes. I loved that relationship. And effectively it's the breaking of that relationship through the exposure of the truth. And it was just done so well. And I loved how, after Bucky, says that he had no choice, that it just focuses on Yuri and it leaves it there. It doesn't kind of go into any further reaction of what happened. Yeah. It's just the piece has been said. Yuri is processing that in that immediate aftermath, and they just leave it there. Yeah. And you see the moment where he sees Yuri then at the restaurant with the girl from behind the counter. Actually, to begin with, I thought it was going to be him going in to then speak to her. Yeah. But you see Yuri there and you realize, he realizes that Yuri is grieving, but can still now he knows the truth to be able to process it and grieve properly. I'm
so glad there wasn't a moment like in 80s movies where it's like, oh, well, that's okay that you killed my son. You must have been going through a hard time. That's okay. Forgiveness for him. This is the massively difficult thing that Bucky has to do. And we don't see exactly what the reaction from Yuri is, but we know he now has the answer he's wanted, which is all that Bucky could do is just give him the answer that he needed. Really, really good. And closing that down with the psychologist, as you said, leaving back the book with everything marked out, and telling her, he's able to move on now, I think was really good.
Yeah. I wanted the 80s moment. I wanted him to go into because I want him to have his life. So basically he has his life. He's moving on. But I did wanted some form of resolution with the date with the girl from the cafe. I was hoping he would go in and kind of...
See, that's because you don't remember the 80s as much as we do.
It's true. I don't.
Yeah. I think more so if we were to see the extended scene with Yuri, I think what we actually would have seen was him telling Bucky to get out of his house. I think it actually would have been a much more negative moment because that couldn't have gone well. And because Yuri's in the restaurant, he's not going to go in and have a chat with the girl he had a one night date with. They're having that talk. He's leaving their life alone and he's walking away now. He's closed off that part of his life and is moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's all done well to not have it on screen, because you don't want to see in your final episode, you don't want to see Bucky get thrown out of someone's house when he's opened up his heart and told them what's happened. But the rest of that conversation couldn't have gone very well, I don't think.
Yeah. And going into the restaurant when he's there, it wouldn't have helped either. I just thought it was nicely handled, and I think there were a lot of things really nicely handled here. But coming to the fights of Bucky, it's like, Bucky, you had one job to do. I love that from Sharon, when he effectively gets sucked in by Carly into the phone call as she delays him so that he can't help Sharon stop the Flag Smashers from leaving the GLC building. So, really, really good. And for me, the best fight for Bucky here was in the construction yard. I loved just it felt like just with the use of the arm and stuff and with the steel girder, I really, firstly protecting him from it as it falls and then wielding it against one of the flag smashers, I thought was really, really good.
Yeah. Also like that Carly had the measure of him as well, where she's fighting against the flag smashers and she goes, he needs something to save and that will distract him. Which I think is really, it's like as if she's able to see his character really well. It's like, okay, we'll give him an alternative here. If he has something to save, then he won't be on the offensive. He'll be trying to save them. So I thought that was a good little choice there as well.
I loved that he used the bike as essentially a catapult for himself, a bucky pult. I was like, all right. Like, he could have swerved around it, but no. He's just going to go straight. Ding! I was like, all right.
Very
cool. That was definitely fun. Yeah. I'm right there with you on the using the arm as the shield, and it was just overall great. His fight scenes were great.
Yeah, I do like that the phone call did come back to bite Carly pretty badly because that's effectively how himself and Walker were able to catch all the rest of the flag smashers. He now had the app open on a phone given to him and was able to track them all effectively.
Yeah, he's not just a good-looking guy. Absolutely. He's also got brains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we do close out Bucky's story with that final kind of closing scene where we have the cookout at Sam's place where everybody's taking photographs with the new Captain America, and we see Bucky smiling as he's walking up to the cookout. Isn't that like a kind of a massive moment in a way, considering every time we've seen Bucky for the last few movies and now the TV show, we don't see him smiling very often. So,
well, that's it. Not only has he thrown off the Winter Soldier baggage, but also emo Bucky Barnes baggage has gone as well now.
Because I have to admit, he's chatting up Sam's sister, and he has his arm out, and the two kids are basically hanging from his arm.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like that's what you do. Like, hey, like let me play with your vibranium metal arm, please. Sir. And he's just there, like letting them hang from it, and he's chatting up Sarah. And I'm like, yeah, that's Bucky. That's good.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the Bucky we saw in literally Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah.
That's the Bucky who was at the World Expo, chatting up the dames.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's great to see. Like, this is what I want. I'm not saying that the emo characterization was bad. I'm not saying
not at all.
that. Yeah, exactly. We're not saying. It's just, it's going to be fun to see these characters going forward. I'm happy to see a happy Captain America and a happy Winter Soldier going into these new film, because one of the greatest storylines ever told throughout a lot of the MCU is the tragedy of the characters. Yeah. So there's been a lot of tragedy.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we have some joy.
There's got to be some happy moments. I mean, we there's the bromance with Sam, but I want to see Bucky, with a romantic aspect to him. You thought it could have been with the lady at the Japanese restaurant, but it could be with Sarah, and I really hope so, because I just think the comedy fallout from that with Sam Wilson would be just awesome.
It would be Lethal Weapon, where Riggs start going out with Murtaugh's daughter. Yeah. Like, it's gonna be that, and I was like, oh my god, it would be such a callback, and it would be so fun. But let's see.
So it's playful banter between them, and that's what was happening with Riggs and Murtaugh's daughter in Lethal Weapon. They never dated, Chris.
Okay, I
very young in comparison to Riggs.
Well, that's true.
It was the fun of the banter of someone that your partner is telling you don't go anywhere near them, so of course you're going to banter with them, which is what good old Bucky's doing. But I like that. I like that the ending was a smiling moment for Bucky.
Yes, cool. But gentlemen, let's move on. If that's everything, let's move on to the other major kind of characters. First and foremost, let's talk about the quote unquote bad guys. Let's talk about Carly. Let's talk about the Flag Smashers, and let's talk about the Leaper himself, Batroc.
Yes. Just because you've done that voice, Chris, it just reminded me of one of those moments in the episode where Sam and Batroc are having a battle, and Batroc goes, "I'm going to take your suit and sell it on the open market." And Sam, "What do you think I'll get for it?" And Sam says, a baguette and some French fries, and all I was doing was laughing because I'm going, this guy's Algerian, and that's really xenophobic of Sam to go, oh, here's some French things that you can trade in. I just thought it was really funny. Do you want some snails maybe with that? But yes, we do have Batroc, and we have the end of Batroc in this episode. Batroc was a character that came from the movies, as we talked about before, was in Winter Soldier. He turns on Sharon Carter when he finds out that she has hired him and is the power broker, and therefore has a ton more money than he thought she had available, so is looking for 4 times the money and gets a bullet for it. I thought it was interesting having this character who's, he's a reasonable comic book villain for Captain America, but the fact that they pulled him back from the movies for the TV show and pretty decisively killed him here and kind of left them in the corner dead as well, as they carry out Carly. Yeah.
I'm not sure they killed him though.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not, but
I think they may have shot him in the leg. He's bleeding out and he's have his leg amputated, and now he's got like a leaping leg type of thing.
Okay.
Like
maybe.
cybernetic.
I kind of feel he's probably dead because I guess that Sharon's intention is she doesn't want her identity being leaked.
Yes.
And so, like, at least her intention was to kill him. And I think it is a couple of shots to the midriff. So, but whether he's, is able to survive, who knows? Because we don't see him being carted away on an ambulance trolley, in the same way as with Carly. So, I guess we could at least say that he's dead.
I think that's it.
It's the thing. Unless I've seen the dead body, I'm like, it's comic books.
Absolutely.
He may come
Exactly.
back.
Yeah.
But the assumption is yes, he is. He will be leaping no more. He is a dead leaper.
Yeah, or maybe he will have, as you say, Chris, maybe he'll have a replacement leg, like Bucky got a replacement arm, and maybe it'll be arm versus leg in Captain America 4. Potentially.
Oh my god,
but
I want to see that.
obviously the bigger characters in this, the bigger kind of villains for the series, are the Flag Smashers and Carly Morgenthau specifically. Definitely gone off the deep end, has Carly, by this episode. We've had a few kind of terrorist moments that, she's done in the past with the car bomb. The attack on the GRC themselves is a terrorist act, but this time she's going against the Flag Smashers. And I think it's interesting that part of the conversation to the rest of the Flag Smashers, the other superpowered soldiers at least, she's saying to them, we could all die here today and our movement will continue forever. And you see all of them looking at her going, right now, I'm not sure whether we want to be part of the movement, let alone all the rest of the people in the world. We're not willing to give up our lives for this. Like, they have a moment at least where they feel like they're not going to follow her.
And I think also there's, coupled to that moment is where, you know, the kidnapping gets upgraded to, we could also kill these people. And it relates to Sam trying to take her, off the edge and, you know, stop her from continuing the path that she's on, is that she's snowballed. You know, she blew up the place in Riga, and the idea of using violent means is just snowballing in her mind. So it's that. I mean, even that she says, you know, to John Walker, I don't kill people whose lives don't matter, in respect to Lamar. And it's like, you know, that's her view. So she is absolutely willing to kill. And it comes back to Zemo's point that, you know, she is now radicalized beyond the point of redemption. And I think it's hints at that as well. So like, this was, it's almost, you know, unfortunately it was, from Sam's part, he was trying his best, but ultimately where she was at, it was a fool's errand for him because he couldn't convince her to back down.
Exactly.
And I think herself, you know, she's struggling between, I guess what the ideals of Mama Danya, and what she was trying to do in terms of helping people with pharmaceuticals, water supplies, food, education, and ultimately almost doing a military wing of the Flag Smashers and moving down that path.
Exactly.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty good, for sure.
Yeah, and we also learned that they were the muscle for Power Broker as well.
Yeah.
We learned here that's the reason they got the serum was because they were working for the Power Broker. And I think she's saying to Sharon Carter, you just want us to come back to work for you as well. So there's a little bit extra for those characters that we see in the episode. Overall, let's just have a quick chat about the Flag Smashers themselves, I suppose, and their kind of motivations. I think for me, overall, I think I'm on the side of the Flag Smashers themselves and their ideals and what they were trying to accomplish, but the methods, once again, getting worse, and definitely for Carly Morgenthau herself, I couldn't see any redemption for her as a character. She's gone way beyond it, exactly as you say, she's gone way beyond the point of redemption as such, but I can see why everybody else is who's part of the Flag Smasher movement is going for what they're going for. I can completely understand that. I think that speaks to what Sam's saying as Captain America to the GRC. What did you think of them as the primary villain, I guess you'd call it? It's not really a villain, but the primary antagonist, let's say, for the series.
I liked the Flag Smashers as a whole. I liked them as being too. This movement, this, I did like that they were some superpowered, and I thinking of Carly, I liked that she was, I liked the character arc we got.
Yeah.
I like that, like, when she's Sam's Bucky to a degree, in that, like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going, like, I agree with some of your ideals. I just don't agree with your methods.
Yeah.
Like, and it's that pushback. And we did get, like, it literally, it was that Captain America, Winter Soldier, Cap versus Winter Soldier fight where I'm not going to hurt you. Like, stop fighting me. And
right. Okay.
Like, Bucky's, like, fighting Cap.
Yeah.
I wanted her to be Sam's Bucky, if that makes sense to you. I wanted her to be essentially the redemptive, like she's captured and she's like not deprogrammed, but
I get
like,
it, yeah.
But essentially they could like have her that she's arrested. Sam talks her down.
Yeah.
After a big fight, she's arrested and becomes like she becomes the face of the Flag Smashers, but actually says, "Look, we were wrong. We're going to work with the GRC. There's going to be we're going to be part of the council. We are going to stop our violence." Like basically an arms stance, like a peace treaty. Like, yeah. And then you get that redemptive. Sam has not just talked the GRC down, but she's talked the Flag Smashers down and things like that. The death of Carly is very final.
Yeah.
In this, and we can move then towards the rest of the Flag Smashers, because essentially the movement is not dead, but the key players are dead.
Yeah.
There is potentially a Carly 2.0, as Sam says, isn't there?
There might be if they don't do the right thing.
If they don't do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I love the little twist as they're being put into the back of the van to be taken off to the raft. Mm-hmm. And one of the police guards says, one world, one people. Yeah. And you are there going, the organization is absolutely there. And of course, these are all super soldier Flag Smashers. Yeah. But ultimately then the nice little twist where it's, the butler from the limousine, with the car bomb trigger.
Yeah.
Where Zemo's butler then ultimately blows up the van, killing the super soldiers, and you have the pan to Zemo in the raft, kind of just relaxing, hearing that news. And it was interesting because just before that, when they said that they were going to the raft and Zemo was there, I had this vision of him, walking past them as he was getting his food from the canteen, going, "I need to kill you, I need to kill you." But it was just it was a nice little sort of double twist, but the Flag Smashers ultimately still exist as their ideas and their organization.
There is one Flag Smasher, super soldier alive.
Yeah, the helicopter.
Dude. He is, so Cap has gone after him.
Yeah.
He is the final Flag Smasher.
Exactly. Yeah, we see one of the representatives of the GRC asks Sam for help to go and take down the last of the Flag Smashers. Yeah, that's right. So there is still one out there. Of course, there's always going to be one super soldier person out there that you can't control. Definitely. One quick thing, and I know we're going to talk about Sharon in a minute, but one quick thing: the death of Carly, the shooting of Carly. potentially before Sam could turn her around. It's Sharon Carter that kills her. I think just to kind of underline your point from earlier on, Sharon killed Batroc and also killed Carly because both of them know she's the power broker. So I think while Sharon may easily be able to justify that, and does easily able to justify Carly's death, she also did it to protect her identity as well. So
yeah,
yes,
absolutely, because Carly had the gun at Sam, was going to shoot him. You know. No, but it looked pretty inevitable that she was going to do that.
Yeah.
So I think, Sharon is covered there.
Yes, agreed. But gentlemen, let's move on to our fourth point and our fourth character, John Walker, Captain America, aka U.S. Agent, aka okay, sure.
Well,
Let's
definitely not
talk
Captain
about
America this episode. He doesn't have the title at all, even though he does call out, I'm Captain America, once in here. It is really interesting to see John Walker, a character that has been disliked as he's supposed to have been for the whole series. Get at least a little moment of choice here. So he has the choice of either going on a revenge path, which is the whole reason he's here. He's here to kill Carly Morgenthau. That's why he shouts out her name at the beginning. And wow, the red rag to the bull of Carly saying to him, I'm sorry about Lamar. I don't kill people that are meaningless, basically, is so harsh. And you can totally understand why he goes into a full-on fight with her, with his tinfoil shield, which doesn't last very long, exactly as we expected.
It is pummeled.
Yeah.
Pummeled when we see it in the construction yard. It is just dented and cracked and falling apart. It does, we do see that he welded his medals to the inside of it to give him inspiration, we suppose, which works apparently. But yeah, okay. So let's talk about this character's arc. All right.
Okay.
So this character is introduced. We tell he's a war hero. He's a bit uppity, but he has a good PR arm. He essentially knows I'm not Steve, but this is what we'll discuss, and I am the world's new Captain America. He is placed high, so the fall is large. He soars so that his fall from grace is big. And basically in the last episode, he goes crazy. He kills a man. He goes psycho. In the fourth episode. In the last episode, he's less than honorably discharged and kind of recruited, and he's still lying about everything, and he has that twitch, and then he kind of fights the good fight in this one, kind of makes the right choice.
He does make the right choice, definitely, but this isn't a redemption of John Walker. I don't think this was a moment where I was expecting the senator to go, we were all wrong, you're now our Captain America, you're now another Captain America, we'll give you back the shield, or anything like that. I think it is just simply the choice in his mind to go from someone that would be hell-bent on the revenge and the murder of the person that killed Lamar, choosing to go and save hostages instead of killing her, I think is his choice in the episode. I think that's it's more of a mindset change than a big redemptive moment for Walker.
For me, I just took it that, he's married with a wife. He's been in the military. There's an idea of service there, of helping people. Okay, he also kills people. And I think that's the kind of battle there in his mind.
Yes.
And it's not as such redemption, I don't think. It's again, just adding a depth to the character that he's made a choice. And in this instance, it's a choice that helped save the council members.
Yeah.
Until Sam came to, finish, that save off, as it were.
Yeah.
And I think it's that, and it's just interesting. It adds the layering to the character.
Absolutely.
Certainly when you know of his continued association with the, enigmatic Val at this stage.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I think for your question, Chris, though, I think overall his arc this season to me has been, this guy can't be Captain America.
Yeah.
But he can be heroic. And I think that's the That's the kind of arc that we get with John Walker. By the end of the season, he can be heroic. He should be. He's a well-decorated military man. But by the end of the season, we know he absolutely can't be Captain America. He can't handle the pressure. He's way over the top. He murders for revenge, effectively. But here, making the choice to not murder for revenge, try and save people, he can be heroic. Yeah.
And he also can't be an ironsmith and metal welder.
No, he cannot.
Yeah,
no. Yes, destroyed shield. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look, for me, it was essentially like they built him up, they brought him down, and personally, I think the character would have been better, like going to that crazy twitchy level and staying there as this kind of slightly like unpredictable, bedraggled, kind of crazy captain. Okay. Or like, I thought that would have been cool. I suppose what they just, in my view, they've kind of brought him down and then they just raised him up slightly because they gave him like, oh, he made somewhat of the right choice now. So he's not Captain America, but he's still going to be a good guy, quote unquote, to a degree.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that. The Contessa's appointment of John Walker to this new position as U.S. agent. For me, I mentioned it last week, absolutely love the character for the comic books and really like what Julie Louis-Dreyfus is doing here. I don't understand enough about the character right now for this scene to make sense to me. Yeah. Who is she? Does she work for the government? Can she appoint him as U.S. agent? Is she even responsible for anything to do with the US government? Last episode, all we got was the business card with a black side and a white side on it. No detail about who she is, what her connection is. She's sitting in the room where he got his court-martial, or where he got his discharge, but nobody is there from the government saying anything like, now you can work for the government. Nobody's saying that the things that Walker has done exonerate him from what they punished him for. They're just sitting in the same room, and Val is saying to him, I'm giving you this position. I'm giving you a suit. I'm giving you this ability to be US agent. And I just kind of thought, does this work right when we don't know who she is?
That's it. It's a weird location that scene happened in, because you are thinking, have they just had a hearing where he's been kind of exonerated, or it's an honorable discharge, it's kind of been amended, and he can work for other government services still, or something like that. Or, why not back at his home or something like that where they meet? It felt a weird location, and there wasn't enough to know whether there had been that hearing, or what really was going on. Yeah. And I wonder if she is in Black Widow.
Yep.
And so maybe it's just because of the timing of the way things panned out that it makes less sense here. But I still love the character of CVADF. I really do like her, for sure.
I love that moment where she sees the news on her phone and goes, "Was I involved in that? No, I wasn't. Or was I?"
I know. I just love that.
Great little moment about the duplicitous of the Contessa. Really, really, really interesting. And also, you just said the word 7 times. I think that's because I wrote it in the notes, John. But the fact that she's saying, we're bringing you back as the US agent because things are about to get weird. Remember, the next big Marvel movie that's coming out, following up from WandaVision, is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So, that is when the Marvel universe gets weird, right? So,
exactly.
So I like that there's a little touch there that, the universe is getting weird, and Val knows something about that.
So, the rumor is that she is in Black Widow. My current hypothesis is that she recruits a new Black Widow. So she's building her version of the Dark Avengers. She now has her US agent, her Captain America. She is going to build someone else and someone else and someone else, and that's going to culminate somewhere. I do wonder, when she said things are going to get weird, is she building the anti-Skrull Avengers? So she is the anti, or the opposite alternative Nick Fury. Nick Fury returns in Secret Invasion, where it is, if it's like the comic book, it's basically about a secret conspiracy invasion by the Skrulls to the US, where they have replaced certain people, could Contessa essentially be building a army against these secret invasion stars? So essentially Nick is trying to, like, he's in the middle, and you have this evil Skrull Empire queen building her undercover shape-changing evil alternatives, and Contessa is trying to build an Avengers to take down this alien invasion, and Nick needs to stop both of them and not kill every Skrull ever out there, because he actually works with the Skrulls and enjoys the Skrulls, etc.
That's a bit far down the line than I was thinking. I was just simply thinking back in Iron Man.
Yep.
The first movie in the MCU, we had Nick Fury coming in to set up the Avengers. Here in what would have been the first MCU TV show for Disney Plus, we have Val coming in to set up the new Avengers, effectively.
Yeah.
A new Avengers group. I'm not too sure what the purpose of that is right now, but we were talking last week about the thing that everybody was pulling out from the comics about the character of Val, that at one point she was Madam Hydra. The one that the people kind of did forget about the comic books is I think she was the first Skrull that Nick Fury encountered. Nick Fury was talking to Val, and turned out that she was the Skrull. It was his lead into the secret invasion, that Val was a Skrull, which I think is an interesting little point of her history as well. So,
well, that's it. There could be a lot of intersection here in the sense that, you know, the secret invasion is that, and the Skrulls, because we've seen them in Captain Marvel, it's that link between space and the spy element, and also the weird magical element that will be coming. It feels like it intersects nicely here. Yeah. And there's almost, in terms of Dark Avengers and that type of thing, or even with Thunderbolts possibly, it just feels like with Secret Invasion, it could borrow elements from Dark Reign as well, where you have the Skrulls involved. You've got the magic element to it as well. I'm not saying that they will be following that. It's just that I think that, they can draw from so much.
Absolutely.
And I think that intersection plays nicely here of Skrulls, the space element, the weird element, and the more Hawkeye, Captain America, and Bucky element as the, espionage and world of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, absolutely. One final word on John Walker, since this is his point. I do like that that his wife calls out that the reason why he's taking so long getting into his new US agent suit is because of the helmet. Because I like that it's called out, because remember, all 6 of these episodes made before they started being released, but that was the first comment from everybody when they saw Wyatt Russell in the Captain America outfit, was that the helmet looks really off on him. And I love that his wife has called out that it's supposed to look off, because it always does. His head isn't the right shape for the helmet, basically. Interestingly
as well, speaking of John Walker's wife, I felt she was a lot more comfortable in the presence of CVADF.
Really?
In this moment. Or even just the fact that she would be there as well when they're doing the costume of US agents.
Yeah.
And I was wondering why. Is there a reason for that? Potentially Skrully reason as well.
I did kind of posit this as well. The fact that the three of them are all in the room and Val's wondering why it's taking John Walker so long to get ready. I was wondering, has she just replaced John Walker with a Skrull? Is that what's happened? Everybody's a Skrull. Everybody's a Skrull. Speaking of which, our bullet point number 5, Sharon Carter.
Is she a Skrull?
Exactly. Back in the USA with her mask, disguising herself as male, which answers the question why everybody thinks the power broker was male. I presume she used this disguise to hide the identity of who she really is. You know that Carly Morgenthau obviously had direct contact with her in the past. We know that she's called Batroc in the past as Sharon Carter. People know who the power broker are, but don't know that it's Sharon Carter. So I presume she's using the old SHIELD tech to hide her identity. What did you think of the reveal? I'm going to ask you, Chris, because I think we thought it was going to be Sharon Carter, and that you'd kind of said you didn't want it to be Sharon Carter in the last episode.
Yeah, I didn't want this to happen. It just feels unnatural to do this to the character. So I have to think that there's a rationale, there's a long game to this as to why they're doing this to the character. Yeah. But Derek, you called this out. Like, you called out her history in episode 3 when she was introduced, when we first meet her in Magic War. In the comic books, Sharon Carter is an hero upon herself as Agent 13. Like, she is huge. And I kind of feel they do her dirty in this to a degree, in that essentially they're making her this duplicitous kind of two-faced kind of character. Not, in my opinion, not in this amazing way, because we don't understand why. Like, essentially, she's just killing to save her identity. Mm-hmm. And then she gets her pardon. And then we get that post-credit scene. And you're like, we don't have enough background. We don't have enough understanding as to her rationale of why she would become this. So, unless, like, her whole thing is, I feel like I've been done dirty.
Yeah, well, that was a rationale for going into being an art dealer, effectively. That was an underground art dealer, let's say. That was the rationale she gave for that. But yeah, the leap to being the power broker is a bigger leap. But I will say, maybe it's just on us. You know, the episode was called The Power Broker when she was reintroduced. We said at the end of the episode, why call it that when you haven't actually introduced us as the audience to the Power Broker? We were back in episode 3. We just didn't know it. It wasn't a massively hidden secret.
But I mean, we also did say, or have they, a bit like Valentina? Yeah. You know, we did wonder, you know, it was effectively in full view for everyone to see. So yeah, I mean, on Sharon Carter, I guess I'm the polar opposite of Chris here. Mm-hmm. I love what they've done with the character. I think she's maybe not had as much screen time. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that thing of, you know, what's the motivation here and so on, around that. At the moment, you know, it's really just being signposted as, you know, she was forgotten, left for trash, by, I guess, the Avengers as much as the US government and any remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's kind of, you know, she's forged her own path. And I really like that from the episode 3. And for me, from Winter Soldier, they've taken a character that I didn't really have much knowledge about anyway. So I don't know about the Agent 13, but one that I thought was good in that movie, but it wasn't someone who I was invested in. And they've added chili, more spice, and they've, you know, put in a ton of garlic. Yeah. It is like they've cooked up a little beast of a Sharon Carter. And I love it. And I love the contrast of what we know with Agent Peggy Carter, and of course what the senator says about, you know, the Carter name being synonymous with duty and trust, and you get the complete counterbalance as she's coming out of that courthouse, effectively ready to sell secrets, prototypes of different weaponry to her buyers, but we don't know who they are. And I just like that. For me, the only other thing that needed to happen was for the Death Star to hover over New York City, and it would have been like perfect. You know, she somehow had been in league with, you know, Palpatine or something.
Well, I think she is in league with somebody. So here's my theory about this post-credit scene is that she's a Skrull. She's not trying to sell the military secrets to people as the power broker. She's getting military secrets for the Skrull Empire, effectively, the people that are going to be coming in and taking over. So I think the reason that we have a character like Sharon Carter becoming potentially nefarious is because it's not Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
It's somebody else.
Which is also great. Yeah. I love the idea that she could be a Skrull as well.
I think that would be a great setup for a future for the movies. You know, this is the one thing, you know, for, you know, comic book fans, the Skrull invasion is going to be a big thing. People who've seen Captain Marvel, they understand that there's a different view of them in the Marvel universe. We know we've got Secret Invasion coming up. The Skrulls can be anybody. And the idea that they could be somebody from one of these TV shows or anybody on these TV shows, making their appearance in Secret Invasion. I think I love the idea of setting up the shows that way, where there's one character maybe from each of the series that could have been a Skrull.
Well, that's it. It's like they've taken what was a chicken korma and have potentially generated a lamb vindaloo here.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Well, creamy and soft to just, you know, heat punch, and spicy. Like, I really like what they've done with her here. And it was just nicely played out, but I think she probably needed more airtime in this series as a whole a bit, I think.
Absolutely. I'd love to see more about Emily
yeah,
Van Camp. I
definitely.
think she was hard done by when she was in the biggest Captain America movie and then really didn't appear again because they didn't have a place for a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So great to have her back in the show, but it did feel like they kept her away. Also want to point out that idea of her standing on the street in New York with the mask, arriving there right beside Bucky. Remember, her sob story is that she was left on her own in Madripoor and had to fend for herself, never been able to talk to her family again, never able to get back onto the US soil, yet she's standing right there with her mask. So she absolutely could have done that if she needed to do it. Yeah. So the sob story, I don't buy anymore from Sharon Carter.
No, not
I
at
agree
all.
with that. 2 points. One, the senator calls out would you like to go back to your previous posting? Yeah. So there is a new S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
new department.
I was wondering what her posting was actually. Yeah, because there's no.
Unless
there's
it's
no
the
Shield.
Interpol, when she was the liaison for Interpol with the U.S. government. Back in when we first re-meet her with Europol and Claw and such in Winter Soldier.
With the explosion in Berlin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, maybe that's it. Yeah.
That was the only one I could think of. But maybe, unless we're saying that there is a new, they're not going to call it S.H.I.E.L.D., but a new secret service, S.H.I.E.L.D.-like entity. We're not going to say Sword.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is out there. Coulson is still out there.
It's true.
With S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
is still happening if you've seen this season of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Just go to Melinda May. She'll recruit you into the new version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm going to say I like your theory about that she's a Skrull. I think that makes sense.
Me too.
And I think the only bit then is that we just didn't get enough, as John said, airtime. Yeah. And that, again, we could call it COVID. We can potentially just call it bad editing. I'm assuming they probably did more for whatever reason. We didn't get probably what we wanted, but it's a good, as you said, it's a good tweak. She is now, Emily Van Camp is now recognizable enough as Sharon Carter. There's enough of a, oh my god, she was a Skrull and a bad guy all along. Yeah. That's now big awesome. Enough of a, oh my god. So I do like this, that they are now planting the seeds for potentially this invasion later on.
Excellent.
With that, with the invasion talk, do we have any final notes before we move on to our defense?
Yeah, I've just got one. It just on some of the cinematography and the shots actually from this episode, because, and I guess it links to what you were saying before about whether Carrie Scogland would, do Captain America 4. Mm-hmm. There were elements of this, some of the shots, certainly were the Flag Smashers are evacuating in disguise the council members from their building, where it's flitting between that and sort of Bucky, and Batroc and Carly, like Bucky on the phone and all that. It felt very Christopher Nolan to me. The editing and the shooting between, sort of those plot points and then the tense action of moving the, council members down the stairs and into the vans. I thought it was really nicely done. And I think maybe Nolan came to it because it felt really like a Dark Knight vibe, that, and with the music behind it building up. Yeah. And the other thing was there's that panning shot coming from the GRC building at the start where it moves down the road, and either side are these buildings that reflect one another. And they're both the same. And that felt very Nolan from The Dark Knight as well, with a shot he did in Chicago. Yeah. And then coupled to that, just like the wingtips in the water. And also there's that kind of final scene, in the cookout where they look across the bay where Sarah's got her fishing trawler. Yeah. And it was just really nicely done. There were some great bits of cinematography and shots in this that I really enjoyed.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully we'll see Carrie Scogland step up to the movie. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Chris, anything from you?
Very quick one. We got a special thanks to Carlos Pancheo, Rick Momander, and Stuart Immonen, who are the artists and writers of the character of Captain America, Sam Wilson.
Right.
So when Sam Wilson became Captain America in the comic books back in, I think it was like issue 25 of Captain America, the new run, that was the creators.
And that's why they couldn't have a sleek Wakandan version. Yeah, they had the licensing rights from Marvel that the Wakandans were sort of bound by. They had to do the suit from the comics.
Okay.
Ooh, there you go. That was a journey to get to that one.
It really was, wasn't it?
But yeah, no, I just like that they called it out. They called him. They waited until now, which made sense because this is when we first saw the suit.
Yeah.
To say thanks in this one, I was like, okay, well done, good on Marvel.
Good call, Chris. Like that. Do you defend the finale of Falcon the Winter Soldier, Chris?
Yes, I do. This felt like high impact. Lots of fighty, little amounts of talky. Could I have done with a bit more talky? Yes, I could have. I felt like it could have done with maybe about 10, 15 more minutes, just to tie a few more bows, just like we said, like just to get a bit more on Sharon, to get a bit more on Val, a bit more on John Walker, just to expand. It felt rushed is the wrong word because it didn't. It felt like the perfect culmination of a lot of the scenes we were looking for. It just felt busy is probably in a good way. So I defend this. I enjoyed the culmination. I'm even happier now that we're going to get this new Cap and Winter Soldier storyline continued in a film because this is great. I like this camaraderie that's been built, and I just want to see where a lot of these threads go because it's going to be a while till we see them again because our next foray is Loki. So it's going to be completely different. But on that note, Derek, do you defend this episode?
I absolutely defend this episode. I think they did a great job throughout the season, really, overall, just setting up this episode and having movie quality 40 minutes of the episode, the action sequences, everything that was going on, and baking in Sam Wilson's ability to talk through situations into a fundamental part of his character without sacrificing the action that people want from the MCU. I think was accomplished really well in the whole show, but specifically this episode I think was a great capper on what was a great season. Really, really enjoyed it. How about yourself, John? Do you defend the finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I really do. Absolutely defend this episode. I give it 4 red wings out of 5. This was, Sam becoming Captain America with the new suit that's got wings, was really, really good. This felt really epic in terms of the action sequences and yet had a real emotional core with Sam and his own personal journey of taking on this mantle, as well as Bucky with Yuri, as well as seeing Sharon go, nefarious. It was, I really enjoyed it. I just thought it was just very, very good. And in particular, the moment with Sam and Isaiah Bradley, that was a real deep emotional, part of this, for me. Everyone kind of got their moment really in this. And I would have loved to have seen a bit more of the Flag Smashers. They were kind of the main driving point through this series. I would have liked to have seen more of them, maybe with the interaction with Sharon, to have more of Sharon. That could have been one of the ways, but I absolutely really do defend this final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Fantastic. And on that note, gentlemen, is that a pub I hear?
It is.
I wish.
Well, that's true.
But also, what is the sound of a pub?
I can't remember. It's been
it's
over
been
a year
so
since
long.
we were in a pub. So,
it's music, because then you can't hear everyone speak.
But then you couldn't hear your pub quiz question, John. Do you want to give us our pub quiz question for the 6th episode?
Yeah, fellow quizzers, fellow defenders, it is the final question number 6 of this series pub quiz. So, the final question. What was the main chemical component or ingredient in the chemical device used on a flag smasher by Sharon Carter in the car park basement of the GRC?
Oh, yeah, she says this and other stuff. So it's just the one thing. Okay.
Yes. What was the main chemical component in the chemical device used on a flag smasher by Sharon Carter in the car park basement of the GRC?
I wonder if he knew her identity as well, because it was a pretty brutal way to die, wasn't it?
It was pretty. It was literally face-off. There were a lot of face-offs in this.
Face melting.
Yes, exactly. But that is the final question. We will be giving the results of the pub quiz in our roundup and final feedback episode for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you've been sending in your answers via feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com, please send in your question 6 answer to go in so that you can go into the draw. Or if you've been holding back, please send in all your answers to all 6 questions via feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com by the 29th of April to be included in the pub quiz. And of course, just as a quick reminder, fellow defenders, the prizes on offer are the Funko Pops of Baron Zemo, the Winter Soldier, and Sam Wilson. So please get those answers in.
Yep. Have them waiting to ship out to whoever it is that gets their hands on those goodies. Thanks so much for everybody that's been entering. But yes, if you can get them in by the 29th of April to feedback at tvpodcastindustries.com, be hugely helpful. We don't know just yet whether there's going to be a making of for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Traditionally, that comes out a week after the show airs on Disney Plus. So we are expecting that to come out next Friday. If it comes out, that's what we'll be talking about on our episode next week, along with our goodie giveaway for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes. Goodie giveaway indeed. Gentlemen, before we move to our feedback section, where we're going to listen to everyone's feedback and talk through it as well, we just want to say a quick shout out to our Patreons. Yes, you Patreons have helped keep our lights on. You have helped keep our editor extraordinaire in coffee. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much. And if you don't support us on Patreon, please consider it. Head on to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industry, where just for a dollar bill, y'all, you can support us and help keep the lights on and help keep this podcast train going, because we are currently doing 2, but we were doing 3 podcasts a week. And you know what? It's good content, because you know what? You get to hear our dulcet tones direct in those ear holes. Especially want to do a separate shout out to those who have supported us on Buy Me a Coffee. Yes, special thanks to Lisa Sweat, Claire Payne, Parthenia Locklear, Dr. Bob Phillips, and Chloe for that special coffee that has gone directly into the digestive system of our one and only Derek O'Neill, keeping him in caffeinated goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to everybody that's been buying me a coffee. Really nice way to support the podcast. That's a one-off way to support us. As Chris mentioned, you can also support us over on Patreon if you want to contribute a monthly amount, monthly donation to the upkeep of the podcast, I suppose. Make sure that we're able to produce it every month. It's been really nice to get the messages as well from everybody that's been supporting us as well. We will, of course, say a huge thank you to everybody that's been supporting us over the many, many years now that we've been doing the podcast. But let's hear some thoughts of our awesome fellow defenders as we get into our feedback section.
Yes. First up, Ryan sent in a couple of voicemails about his thoughts on the season so far.
Hey guys, Ryan here. Wanted to give you a couple of my thoughts in regards to probably from episode 2 to episode 5 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I know I've been a bit quiet on the feedback, but you guys have been answering all the questions and thoughts and stuff that I've had, so thank you for that. First and foremost, I really like the humour. It's been a bit slow for me when I compare it to WandaVision. Maybe it was just that there were so many theories that we all had in WandaVision. 1, it annoyed me when I think about it now. But 2, it kept you guessing for the whole week. You could listen to literally 8, 9 podcasts and a couple of YouTube channels and have so many different theories. And maybe that was a bad thing, and I think I said to you afterwards that I generally didn't even watch the trailer for halfway through the season of this. I just thought, no, I don't want to be spoiled. I've stayed away from everything. So it was a bit slow in that sense for me, but the issues they were hitting were absolutely amazing. I'm going to send you another voice note with those. But the 2 things I'd really like to point out is that I think you guys pointed out before, the humour in this is hilarious now and again. The ones that stick out for me is when Sam tells Bucky not to let Zemo get to him because he just does that stupid head tilt thing and you see him straighten out his head. Hilarious. And this week when Bucky helps him out and he asks him, why don't you use your hand? He said, I'm right-handed. I don't think of it all the time. Hilarious.
Great to hear from you, Ryan. Yeah, that there has been some really good fun moments in the season, hasn't there?
There really has. And I do agree. It's interesting to say that the fact that it's slower than WandaVision. I actually thought it's actually the opposite, but I see what you mean. It's slower because there was more, oh my god, theories going on. Well, let's call it. Like,
yeah.
Let's basically just say it was Mephisto. It was Mephisto watch. We were all like, oh my god, was that Mephisto?
Like,
was that Mephisto?
yeah.
Was that Mephisto?
See, I love that we're replacing that now with, is that a Skrull? Is she a Skrull? Is he a Skrull?
Yeah, this is
Which
Skrull.
feels more realistic than Mephisto, to be honest.
Or Cthulhu coming out the ground.
That would also be Mephisto level, John. Thanks so much, Ryan. I know you got another piece of feedback for us as well.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Hi guys, Ryan here again with my second voice note. I'd like to quickly just touch on the issues that have been raised during this series, and I am glad, as a black man, I am glad that Marvel have not beat around the bush. Disney too have not beat around the bush and straight up said things that, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't expect them to say in a Disney program, and I'm glad they have. The words that was said last week, that no black man, no right respected black man would want to wear that shield, and the way that must have made Sam feel like, and you completely feel for Isaiah and why he feels like that. You completely feel for him and understand him and sympathize with him. But I just know that Sam's gonna not make him see different, but make him realize that I am going to be changing. I'm going to try and change, and if we don't try and change together, then nothing's going to change. And, it is just good to actually not see them beat around the bush, especially in the week we've had with the trials in America and the stuff's happening in America. I know this is a podcast like that, but it is good to see them actually not skirting around these issues. So well done, Disney. Well done, Kevin Feige. Well done, Marvel. Let's see what happens. I've got episode 6 to watch later on, and I'll be sending you a season wrap-up. But once again, thanks for all your feedback, guys, and everyone out there. Thank you very much. Take care. Speak to you soon.
Thank you so much, Ryan. No, look, thank you for your feedback. And I mean that actually wholeheartedly.
Absolutely.
I'm glad. And I think this is the thing. A lot of people expect comic book shows, TV, back in the day to be wham bam, pow pow, ka-joink, ka-joink type noises. It was spectacles. It was popcorn films. We are now in the golden age of Marvel, of cinematic universe, of shows where they can discuss very serious topics around the world that not everyone will have a view on, or a lot of people will have a view on, and everyone will have a right of view. But hopefully the discussing of these topics can lead to greater discourse, or at least get greater discussions, more people to the table to bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned last week, I think it was so well handled as well in the show. It's not about saying that what Isaiah's opinion is wrong. His opinion is right for what he's gone through.
Yes.
And having this character, the central character of Sam Wilson, choosing to take up the mantle, knowing that some people are going to hate him, knowing that some people out there will always be racist, but that's not going to stop him from fighting for a better world for everybody, effectively. I think that's such a powerful sentiment in the show, and I think delivered so well.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ryan. Yeah, I completely agree, that it was really just said straight up. I completely agree. And that whole conversation between Sam and Isaiah at Isaiah's home in Baltimore, and that complicated relationship around the shield, around the icons being black men, I thought was really, really good. And I think, like in this episode, this final episode, with Sam calling out about, the eyes looking at him, with the council members, and that people will hate him for wearing that. It's just, as you say, it's straight up, it's to the point, and, there is a absolute truth to that is being confronted head on. So really, really good. Thanks so much, Ryan, for the feedback and the voicemails there.
Absolutely. We got an email in from Stephen Sherman on episode 5. He says, "Hi guys, discovered you guys back in July of 2018 and didn't fully get caught up until you'd finished your coverage of the Marvel Netflix shows. I absolutely love your guys' takes on the Marvel shows and movies that you've covered, and I'm excited to finally be sending in feedback for the show." Welcome, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Stephen. Good to have you on board since July 2018.
Exactly.
And good for you to pop your head up through the feedback. Really good to get your email in.
Absolutely. Yes, Stephen continues. I just finished episode 5 of Falcon the Winter Soldier, and all I can say is wow, especially in light of Sam's conversation with Isaiah Bradley. It's so awesome to see him picking up the shield and getting ready to become the Captain America we've been hoping for this entire series. What do you think Bucky had the Wakandans make for Sam? My guess would have to be a new set of wings with the red, white and blue colour scheme of Captain America's uniform. I absolutely can't wait to see what's in store for the final episode next week, or to hear your guys' coverage of this week's and next week's episodes. Your fellow defender, Stephen Sherman. Thanks so much, Stephen, for the feedback. Good to have you on board. We did see, obviously, in this episode what the Wakandans had developed. So it's a full-on Captain America suit that also has wings enclosed there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that it had the wings. Don't think they had. I didn't catch red, white, and blue color scheme on them, on the wings themselves. Kind of almost a bit like fighter plane or something like that.
Right.
But certainly the suit certainly got those colors.
Yeah, definitely. All combined together.
Yeah, no, they were red, white, and blue. You were right, John.
The wings were.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were red piping at the top with a blue section followed by white under the bottom.
Interesting. Very good. Very good. So Stephen got that right in his email.
He
Well
did.
done, Stephen.
Good stuff, Stephen. Yeah. Jerry over on email on episode 6 says, "Hey guys, great action and lots of emotions in this finale. Captain America's suit was outstanding. Sharon Carter, the power broker, wow. My only beef with this episode, Marvel keeps killing its villains. Carly was a very compelling character, like Eric Killmonger. I think more could have been done with her. Zemo getting the last word with the Flag Smashers, kaboom. So where do all these characters go now? What are Val's plans for John Walker? Cap and Bucky a team now? Sharon Carter, the big bad for season 2? The future is bright for the MCU. Jerry in Niceville." Yes, it is definitely bright, with a little hint of darkness in the sphere of Sharon Carter, I think. Whether that is Skrull related or whether she has literally just turned to the dark side, who knows at this point. But it's just so intriguing. All these things happening, and certainly, rather than a season 2, it is most likely to be a Captain America 4 movie, which is great news. And you're right. Killmonger was a really compelling character. And I think, Carly, with her relationship with Sam, had that sort of duplicity of, she was polarizing, I guess, in what she did in the same way as with Killmonger. So, really interesting if they had kept both characters.
Yeah, I think there's probably the difference I see between Killmonger and Carly is that Carly had some beliefs and the action she was taking was wrong, as we mentioned before. There's still the Flag Smashers out there. There's still people that believe that is the right approach without the violence, effectively. So with Killmonger, you could kind of buy into his ideals, but it was just him, and when he was gone, that was
That's
the end
true.
of the ideal almost. Whereas with Carly, she's gone, but the movement lives on, I suppose. Suddenly felt like bursting into song from
I was going to say.
from Les Miserables, I think, there. Excellent. Thanks very much for the feedback, Jerry.
Yes, thank you so much, Jerry. We also got some email feedback from Chloe, who had this to say: "Hello! Cap is back. It's great Sam became Captain America. Not so great the other Captain America made a breakable shield, which got beat up with a few hits. Bucky seems like he doesn't want to fight, and who takes a phone call when they should be looking for the hostages? But finally, we found out Sharon is the power broker. But is she evil? Seems like it. It seems like the Flag Smashers are going to come back in a movie or a show. Also, is Val, and I technically didn't say her name, evil or good? Very confusing to find out who is evil and who is good. Also, I heard there is to be a 4th Captain America with Sam's Cap. This episode felt different to me. Two of the things that didn't seem totally off to me in this episode is when Captain Falcon made his speech to the senator and the other people who just seem important. Also, Sam showing Isaiah that he won't be forgotten for what he has done in the Smithsonian. Finally, it seems like there should be more episodes, but hopefully they will show more backstory about Sam in the movie. Oh, and one more thing. How Sharon took off her face disguise in the beginning was just wrong. Very, very wrong. But, oh well, this was not my favourite episode. Next up is Loki. Hope you enjoy the coffee I sent you from Chloe.
Thanks so much, Chloe. Yes, I loved the coffee that you guys sent me. Thank you so much. It was really nice of you to buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. Really nice of you. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of the elements that are really great in this episode, and definitely Captain Falcon. I like that. Making his speech to the senators was really, really good. And yeah, those scenes with Sam and Isaiah were fantastic. In terms of who's good and bad in these shows, I think Marvel tends to, like hiding that, especially with a character like Val, who walks in with all that confidence that we saw her walk in with, and you don't know what her purpose is. You don't know whether she's good or bad. So, we'll probably see that in the future. We're definitely going to see the character back in the future. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chloe.
I just noticed in your message there, Chloe, you did also point out Bucky taking a call when he shouldn't be taking a call. Didn't somebody else do that earlier on in the season? Sam did that, which also got him in major trouble for taking a call
absolutely.
when he shouldn't be taking a phone call. So maybe these two are quite well matched.
Yeah, and I think there was a good call out from Sharon in this, saying you had one job to do as well. Mm-hmm. And yet the face-off disguise certainly coming from, as we mentioned, the shield technology from Captain America and the Winter Soldier movie. Yes. So there's some real nice links going on through to the previous movies. Yeah,
so really used that, didn't you?
And as you're right, next up is Loki, where we get a bit more magical and mystery again, as we were with WandaVision. Yeah, so thanks so much, Chloe, for the feedback. It is really, really appreciated. Another email came in from Victor Sellers, who says, "Hail, Derek, John, Chris, and fellow defenders. I could not imagine a better finale. Mm-hmm. Looks like we were all in on the new Cap outfit. Sharon appears to be the power broker, but who is she reporting to towards the episode's end?"
Skrulls.
John Walker joining the battles was welcome, but his shield is not up to snuff. Mm-hmm. Baron Zemo striking from the raft was most fitting. Batroc's challenge to Power Broker, not very smart.
Yeah.
I feel the Sam versus Carly engagement regrettable, but unavoidable. Sam's engagement with the GRC in front of the media was epic. Bucky doing the work, as Sam suggested, was most welcome. I thought the Isaiah Bradley closure was also epic. I'm looking forward to season 2 and your podcasts. For now, in the meantime, perhaps we will meet in a galaxy far, far away. Excelsior, Victor Von Doom. Thanks so much, Victor, for the feedback. I think the Sam was, you're absolutely right, epic in this, in terms of that confrontation with the GRC and with his conversation with Isaiah Bradley as well. It really kind of felt like a good, uplifting oomph here in terms of his message. It was really good. Cap outfit, I'm in on it in terms of design. Love the wings. But I think Wakandan design and technology didn't make it through to the final prototype of this. But I guess it is version 1. Unlike Carly version 2.0, we probably will get a version 2.0 of the new Cap outfit. So I cannot wait for that. And Baron Zemo striking from the raft, yeah. What more would you expect from the master manipulator?
Exactly. It's going to be good to see what else Zemo can do from being locked up. Because the butler did it. It's true. And it's going to be that butler. It's going to be the first serial killer butler in the MCU ever. It's going to be great.
They could do a Knives Out 2 or something in the MCU, or Clue, with Zemo's butler. It'd be awesome.
Yes.
I love it. There's 2 other Knives Out movies coming, so maybe they'll set one in the Avengers universe.
Well, that would be great. The big mansion, and all the Avengers are there around the dinner table, and they're slowly picked off by Baron Zemo's butler.
Maybe that's
awesome.
Awesome.
Maybe we'll be at Xavier Mansion. That'll be the introduction. The X-Men will be through Knives Out. Excellent.
But over on Twitter, we also got some feedback. First up from Musical Concepts, aka Matt Murdoch, who said, I actually really hate, even though I understand Sharon being that person. She was forced to survive and thrive in a world that didn't tolerate her. Steve would be so disappointed. Mm-hmm. Score highlight for me had to be the main theme, all fanfared up for Sam saving the transport. Pre-credits end was a little cheesy to me, but music supervisor Dave Jordan chose a good song, at least with Curtis Harding's On and On.
I loved that song. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, wasn't it?
And we didn't really talk about in the episode the new music for Captain America. Effectively, when Sam arrives, he has his brand new theme, which is similar to the old Captain America theme, but completely reworked for Sam. I thought that was cool as well.
Agreed. I do really like it's the tweaks. It's sometimes that they've made some very iconic themes, and I think it's just those ongoing tweaks that I think probably Matt will be able to talk about it better, where it's just when he says all fanfared up, it is that kind of like sometimes they're just blown up. I'd love to see a Roots version of the kind of Captain America theme. So the Roots are the Jimmy Fallon's kind of musical band.
Oh, his house band.
They're also a well-known band upon themselves.
They were, yeah, absolutely.
But I'd love to see them do a take, because I think that would also be really interesting to hear.
Excellent.
And I like Sharon being that person, but Matt, I definitely think with that line, Steve would be so disappointed. You're absolutely right, which makes me feel that she's not operating entirely with agency here and could link to Derek's Skrull theory for sure. And I can just feel Steve Rogers' glaring, disappointed eyes.
See, now I'm suddenly getting this impression in my mind that I've made a terrible mistake here, and I'm going to be really disappointed if that's not what happens. Like all those people guessing Mephisto for every character in WandaVision, I'm suddenly going, oh, maybe I said the wrong thing. Thanks so much, Matt. Also on Twitter, Jonathan Shouts says, just watched the Falcon the Winter Soldier finale. I like that it wasn't a complete action fest. Will there be a season 2? Waiting for the podcast from TVPI. Thanks so much, Jonathan. We know now it's not going to be a season 2. It's going to be a movie. It's awesome.
I still think we might get season 2. Who knows? We'll get a film and a movie and a film and a movie and a film and a movie. It's not a bad way of doing it.
But at least we know the movie's coming. That's awesome. Over on Facebook, Alex Baelish says, thanks guys for giving such great content to this amazing show. As one that is coming into this as a casual fan of all the MCU movies, it was great to watch the show at face value, but listening to the podcast helps so much. That said, the last fight sequence had me on the edge of my seat, and Cap's new outfit was so cool. I think they tied up loose ends well and still making you want more. They did so much in only 6 episodes. Can't wait to find out who blew up the truck in the end and what is Agent Carter going to do, as well as see if US Agent gets more developed on the show. But in the end, we have Black Captain America working with the Winter Soldier. Excellent. Thanks, Alex. We know now, obviously, who blew up the van in the show. And yes, we have some theories about the rest of it, but thanks so much for listening along, Alex. I hope we've been helping you guide you through, I suppose, the bits that you might not remember from the MCU.
Yes. Thanks so much, Littlefinger, for your very well crafted feedback. I definitely, am feeling certainly, that I am in a minority on the outfit. The new Cap's outfit.
You did like it though?
No, I did, but maybe
he doesn't
not
like
as much
he
as
doesn't
everyone
like them
else.
swole. You don't like them swole. That's okay. You just want a bit more sleek.
Yeah.
But we also got some feedback from Dan Lee, who went, great episode, made even better by Sam's speech. Mm-hmm. Definitely my Captain America. I like that the US Agent and Sharon Carter threads have been left dangling for potential new seasons. Also, I heard a rumor that Val was the one true Madam Hydra.
In space.
Dan does have a lot of smiley faces after this because he's clearly poking fun at me. Thanks so much, Dan.
Well done, Dan. Keep it up. Needle.
Exactly. Donald Dennis says, a few thoughts. I really like the series and the finale as a whole. I give it 4.5 out of 5 vibranium shields. And that's even taken into account the questionable premise of who is the new Captain America. I understand the essential myth making of creating a new Captain America, but I kind of think it's dubious to assume whoever has the shield has to be called Captain America. It's like saying anyone who held Excalibur had to be called King Arthur. Captain America doesn't need to be a mantle like Sorcerer Supreme. However, given the social issues being considered in the story is great, and I'm more than happy to embrace Sam as the new Cap. If Jason Strongbro in the comic books wasn't already American Eagle, I'd have suggested that for Falcon's winged Captain America-ish name. That's an interesting take, Donald. Did you just move between different types of birds to name himself after?
Yeah, but that would be, that is an interesting name for sure. Because there's part of me, I love him as the new Cap, but there's part of me, I love him as the Falcon as well. So we kind of need a name smash, I guess. And that sounds like a good one, American Eagle.
But I do like, important for the show that he is the new Captain America. I think that makes total sense.
Absolutely.
Donald continues, Sam's new Cap outfit looks like it was designed by Nike, not Wakanda.
Woohoo!
Not a bad thing, and certainly better than looking like it was made by a military surplus gear. In all, I think it's a win. I like that, yeah. I could see the Nike swish up on top of Captain America's new outfit. Donald said, I loved Sam's points and most of his speech was strong, but I found it hard to believe they would listen to him for that long, even though he was an Avenger and they accepted him as Cap. While I still don't love John Walker, I felt a lot less hate for him when he decided to save that truck full of people I didn't like instead of chasing down his friend's killer. And then when he didn't attack Sam for the shield to try and take it back, that was good. Then he stood next to Bucky while Sam was giving his sermon of truth and perspective. That also helped. By not doing things, he showed restraint I didn't know he even had. And his costume fitting, he looked less annoying. Maybe it was the way the helmet fit. I can't really be the exact same costume, but in black, can it? Marvel did a good job at setting up a movie or season 2. I believe season 2 will be presented like a whole new thing. It won't be called Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2, maybe Captain America and the Winter Soldier, but it will be wrapped up as a complete story.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Donald. I'm wondering whether is Bucky even the Winter Soldier anymore? If he's moving on.
Captain America and the White Wolf.
White Wolf, exactly. It could be because, like the ending for Bucky in this episode is trying to put that mantle behind him and move on for sure. And thanks, Donald, for the call outs on, that John Walker didn't try and get the shield back and he was listening to Sam's speech to the GRC members as well. I think it's just really nice that they've nuanced him in that way. I guess maybe he knows when something, he's ultimately accepted the fact that it's not for him. He can't deal with it, but he can be a US agent.
Absolutely. I like that John Walker was listening to the speech and Bucky wasn't because he got a text message. Yeah.
From who though?
That was just a joke. He didn't get a text message. I know. Thanks so much for that feedback, Donald.
Yes, thank you so much, Donald.
Yeah, Heather Wallace says, I've loved watching Sam flying and using his wings in so many different ways. I was really struck by how he used them to brace himself against Carly. Sam is a great character. He is moral, compassionate, and smart. Seeing him in action as Captain America and absolutely owning the title was brilliant. Absolutely agree with every sentiment in that paragraph, Heather. Heather continues, just as soon as one title has its honor restored, another is besmirched. I hated hearing Sharon referred to as Agent Carter. That's Peggy's title, and it always will be. Mm-hmm. Sharon, being the power broker, seems to have so many plot holes and was one of the weak points of the series. As weak as Fate Captain's arts and crafts shield. Absolutely. Finally, Heather says, speaking of Fate Cap, it seems like the writers didn't quite know what they wanted to do with him in this episode. He was being set up for a redemption arc and had to make the choice between saving the passengers or pursuing Carly, but even so, he's committed violent murder. Having him quote about mercy doesn't feel right. Thanks so much for Heather. I think that is the jar. I think with John Walker, it is this idea that that he doesn't need to be redeemed. It's kind of just him. As a military person, the idea of service, the idea of leaders in wartime like Lincoln, I think if he'd gone to West Point, that, all those elements, would have been there. I just think that's him, that he has that dual side. And I guess we need to wait and see as well in terms of if he's a real baddie.
Yeah.
Not that he's not a murderer, but a baddie in the sense of comics, what and how the US agent turns out.
Yeah.
And what he does in that role. But I think it's just a real depth of character that just is, I think.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, I think, for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you so much. Richard Blade had this to say: pretty much watched the entire episode with my mouth wide open. I have totally loved this series and didn't think the finale disappointed. Like Cap's new suit, grew on me as it went on, but still think it looks a tad too bulky.
Slash frumpy.
There you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I think I've got 2 on my side. With
Yes.
Donald and Richard.
Richard went on to say, now Carly, is she really dead? I have a feeling she may return at some point as opposed to others who were blown sky high. Old fella in the car? Who? Well, we turned out that was Zemo's butler. Yep. Just
Milady.
US agent actually quite liked once he dropped the angst teenager personality, and I'm intrigued to see where his story goes now. Bucky redeeming himself took the weight off him, and it's nice to see him actually enjoying life again. Series has to belong to Anthony Mackie. He's been given so many great performances, action scenes, and poignant speeches. He has literally acted his socks off and had us hanging on every scene he was in.
Absolutely.
The ending clearly is setting up a second series. God, I hope so. I really want to spend more time with these characters. Thank you so much, Rich. Anthony Mackie was one of the stars. Like, literally, yes, on the title card, obviously. Literally he is. But, from a look and feel of what he was doing, it really was good to see.
Yeah, total standout on the show. Loved his performance in here. And I know he's done lots of movies over the last couple of years. Some great ones out there to check out as well. And I'm really excited to see him take center stage in Captain America #4. Dr. Bob Phillips says, enjoyed that episode a lot. Highlights have to be the after credits scene. I could hear Aunt Peggy whirling in her grave. The speech and most of all, the statue at the Cat Museum would have brought a longer Yuri Bucky scene and have the final titles read Cap America and the White Wolf, and we still haven't seen Sam snuggled up, so my guess of a nice set of PJs in that box from Wakanda isn't completely extinguished yet.
Wakandan Jim Jams.
I'm telling you, they can make the best Jim Jams. Thanks so much, Dr. Bob. Lisa Richardson says, I'm conflicted. I wanted the episode to either be longer or split into 2. I really enjoyed the pace of the 5th episode and missed the longer character beats. If we had more time with the Power Broker reveal, maybe it would have hit harder. I'd love to see a flashback to Sheridan, Carly and Madripoor, for example. That said, I'm pleased with the series and I'm looking forward to Loki in June. Yeah,
I think that definitely, Lisa, having Power Broker reveal, a bit earlier, would have helped sort of bring, I think, Sharon Carter, into the series, a bit more. It did feel like she was on the periphery, and I guess with the whole nefarious, Agent Carter Mark II, walking out of that courthouse at the end, a lot of people, kind of, quite rightly want to know why. So it's, I think you're right. I felt she, after episode 3, just fell off from the episode a bit, other than maybe a quick scene with her on the phone. And so, yeah, I would have liked to have seen more of Sharon Carter. Definitely.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa. Ronaldo says, this was such a great finale. It literally felt like only 10 minutes. It went so fast. Having said that, it also managed to definitely cover everything to close out any loose ends. We see Zemo, Isaiah Bradley, Bucky's confession, the US agent, yes. Amongst the likes of the Flag Smashers and the Power Broker, Sharon, no. Our new Cap looks magnificent, and I'm glad we'll be getting a movie. Mackie has a huge responsibility now within the MCU. I know he will do well.
Absolutely.
Ray continues, Just another 2 points. Keen to know your thoughts. Did the act of heroism by John Walker with the armored van, had that changed your tune about him? Only 2 episodes ago he did something totally abhorrent, but how do you view him now? I'm a bit conflicted, as his actions are brash and gruff, but in the comics you certainly come to side with him in the face of evil. And then with Carly, though Sam had a great speech, very effective, and one of the best written for the show, did you gain sympathy for Carly after her death? I still viewed her as evil in the way she didn't consider human life. She indirectly even says Battlestar's life was pointless. So although I very much sided with Sam when he told off the senators, I couldn't find the same empathy Sam had for Carly. I think her role was written quite up and down in that sense. I think we're meant to feel disgusted, then have empathy for her, but it was quite a difficult thing to balance. I guess that's the point though. Everything isn't necessarily black and white. Absolutely, Ray. I think, at the end of the day, Carly is a human being, and we get snippets of her backstory and what she's had to go through, being someone that has been displaced with the return of people from the blip. I think, she's blown people up. She's shown that she's willing to take people's lives. In that sense, she's a bad person. But I guess it's more the conceptual side of the Flag Smashers and the organization. And you see that with the other remaining members of the Flag Smashers, when they hear her talking about killing the council members, that, this isn't what people have bought in for. She's kind of gone down a different route. It's like when a freedom fighters are choosing political means, and then you get that offshoot of a more militaristic wing, because of, and it's that split.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing, from me.
What's with all the labels, man? With bad person, good person.
And I think with John Walker, he is actually, in terms of what he did in Riga, that is totally abhorrent. And I think that he is a killer machine. I guess it's the structures in place around him, being in the military as special services, a bit like with Carly, the structures around her that's led her to view the world through a certain lens, have both kind of made them, I guess, militaristic in their way, their own different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Ray. Sandy Resendez says, Bucky showing up with a cake to Sam's cookout. That was all I needed. Seriously, it was an awesome episode that they wrapped everything up beautifully and left me wanting more. So mission accomplished. Still not buying Sharon being the power broker, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thanks, Sandy. We also have some feedback of a bit of a different take from Ted Willard. So I refrained from passing judgment until I had seen the entire series, but now that I have it, I have to say it was a disappointment. The series seemed to fall victim to what most of the MCU has avoided, which is focusing more on setting things up than telling a good story. I think the whole series might have been better if it had been edited down to a 2-hour movie. I could have done without the dancing in Madripoor, for example. I did enjoy times when Sam and Bucky were down on the Gulf Coast with Sam's sister and her family. I also thought the entire subplot with Isaiah Bradley worked well. But most of the rest of the plot was something I followed along without caring much. The characterizations of Carly, Zemo, John Walker and Sharon Carter were extremely uneven. I felt that they always seemed to do what was necessary to drive the plot forward rather than stemming from their actual personalities. One of the cleanest examples of this was Carly's regret at killing Battlestar when it occurred as she had been specifically intended to kill Walker. I felt that they missed an opportunity to do a take off of the old 80s buddy cop style show. I do like Sam and Bucky and hope Captain America and or season 2 of this show will do better. Thanks for the feedback, Ted. Each their own. Like, that's the thing. There is so many flavors of the MCU. This one's not for you. That's fine. You didn't like it. That's fine. Hopefully, maybe you'll enjoy Loki more. And that's the thing. Like, there's going to be many different takes. I personally really enjoyed this. I know a lot of our other fellow defenders did. But hey, if you don't like vanilla, you may like chocolate. If you don't like chocolate, you might like mint chip. different type flavors of ice cream. There's hundreds of thousands. So whatever the flavor that you like, stick with that flavor, but always give a quick taster to everything.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Yeah, I mean, the characterizations, I think, of Carly, Zemo, John Walker, and Sharon, as you say, I think there is a lot of setting up going on in this season. Certainly with the promise of a Captain America 4 movie and some of the other series as well that may link into this, such as Secret Invasion, possibly. I guess it's all theories at the moment. And so I think there's certainly the setup, and I think the characterizations, sometimes I just wonder how you grab about, it's an uneven characterization because of a writing element, or whether they're actually trying to write an uneven character.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Ted. Always good to hear a different opinion. Selima Kisler says, wow, great series. Sam's new costume is perfect and the US agent is nice too. Love the resolution for Isaiah. Even Zemo didn't get left out of this one. I wish they hadn't killed Batroc. What is Shady Sharon up to? That is the big question, Salim.
Yeah, old Shazza. What are you up to?
Deanna Maskell says, I loved Sam and Bucky's journey so much through this series, and they really brought that to a satisfying conclusion in the finale, but the Sharon Carter and Flag Smasher stories were so disappointing, lacking the depth and meaning of the primary stories. Also a bit dissatisfied with the Discount Cap storyline. Why bother to give him a wife even? Such disservice to Lamar, and suddenly Discount Cap redeemed? Such mixed feelings about this episode as a result. I can forgive Discount Cap's story, but not Sharon Carter. That is so disappointing, and I just don't think they sold that portrayal. These subplots were shown up badly by the strength of the Isaiah Bradley story. That's a really interesting take as well, Deanna. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Deanna. And I think with the Isaiah Bradley story, because it was focused around with Sam Wilson's journey as well. They were so interlinked. It feels like you got more about him, say, compared to Sharon. I do feel Sharon is underserved in this series.
A little bit, but I think that's a setup for a bigger story, as we mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. And I still have to say, I just love maniacal Shazza.
Also, like Deanna calling John Walker Discount Cap.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Deanna. Sean Riggins says, I believe tonight was the setup for Secret Invasion. Sharon is a Skrull, which is why everything seems so out of character. In the comics, the New Adventures discovered Elektra, the Skrull, in Madripoor. So there's a comic book connection that we didn't see. Thanks for that, Sean.
Excellent, Sean. Yeah, I think that's a good theory. Yeah. Ray Felix says, it was a great show. I like that they were faithful to the Falcon Cap suit. I love that they did US Agent and that Bucky was on the path to redemption. More so, the Isaiah scenes were a real tearjerker. I think I'll watch the whole series again in one sitting to see if I missed anything. Good plan, Ray. That sounds like a good plan, because there's a lot of stuff in here. Not to the same extent maybe as WandaVision, but certainly, there's some good little connections potentially here. And I think with the Secret Invasion aspect and Skrulls, there's also a lot of room for some good theorizing, fellow defenders.
Yes, maybe Sharon Carter is Mephisto all along.
Mm-hmm. She is.
Yeah. We have one final piece of feedback from Dave Horrocks, who had this to say: what a fantastic episode to finish off a fantastic series. Sam's Cap costume looked fantastic and the action was on point. Yes, thank you so much, Dave. You're right, it was a fantastic episode to finish off a fantastic season.
Thanks, Dave. Good to hear from you. Finally, we do have a voicemail from Steve Brown about his thoughts about the final episode.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to watch this one multiple times. Wow, so good. Hey guys, it's Steve, and this is for... I'm just giggling. Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's gonna be great. So we're not gonna get a second season of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but maybe we'll get a first season of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Wow, that reveal! I was really kind of glad that it turned out that Sharon Carter is the power broker, or at least for now. There may still be somebody else more behind the scenes, or if she was talking to her assistant, but. But I love a couple of other things, quick things I really loved. I love they didn't make us wait to see the Captain America suit on Sam with the wings and the shield, and just so great. And that fight between him and Batroc, just really cool. And this is an interesting turn, I think, for Emily Van Camp, right? Because she's always been the good guy. And so, yeah, I'm excited to watch it multiple times and to talk about it some more. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much, Steve. Yeah, giggling as well. That was when I saw that title card change to Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It was just, I giggled as well. My wife looked at me like I had 5 heads. She couldn't understand. And I was like, no, because he's now Captain America. Anyway, but yeah, thank you so much.
I didn't see that. Did they actually do that on Disney Plus?
The title card is changed at the end. It says Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I did not see that.
No, I didn't either.
No,
Must go back and rewatch.
We will definitely be rewatching that.
Yeah, and I love your epic music delivery, Steve, as always.
Yeah, great to hear that too. Glad you enjoyed the season as well as much as we did. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us for this epic podcast about the finale of Winter Soldier. If you want to get any additional thoughts into us about the show, we will be back next week with our wrap-up and our pub quiz winner. You can just email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com. We'll discuss any additional thoughts that you have then.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback, for your love, your support, and it all. Make sure you head on over to tvpodcastindustries.com and give us an old like, a rate, a review, a share, a bit of love, and everything in between. Make sure you subscribe on any flying or grounded, vibranium-based arm, or now uniform, flying costumes, podcast catchers. We'll be back next week because Derek just said we're going to be doing the feedback. But after that, we will be reviewing Loki from June 9th. Yeah. Loki TV series, Time Brokers. Wait. It's going to be crazy.
And of course, we'll be back with Marvel for Black Widow, which comes to cinemas and Disney Plus Premium from July the 9th as well. Yeah. And of course, my fellow podcast hosts here, Chris and Derek, will have one more episode, the final episode of Invincible, out next week. And of course, Invincible is over on Amazon Prime.
Absolutely looking forward to the finale of that one, and hopefully we might get our third co-host John to join us for that finale discussion as well. That'd be
I might.
Cool, because he has been watching all the episodes.
I have.
He just thought he didn't have time to podcast, so we did it without him. But he might be back next week's episodes. Thanks so much for joining us for Falcon the Winter Soldier. Lots and lots of Marvel discussion that we've had, of course, this year. Kind of happy to have a little bit of a break in between series now, because we've been back to back since the first episode of WandaVision came out, and doing multiple shows. So kind of happy to have a little bit of a break to kind of take in what's happened in Falcon the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. But so happy that we've had so many awesome fellow defenders joining us for this season.
Yes. Can't wait to hear all your final thoughts and bits of feedback next week on our feedback episode. We will chat to you guys then. Goodbye.
Yeah, thanks so much, fellow defenders, for joining us. It's great chit-chatting with you. Remember, keep watching, keep listening, keep defending, and keep flying high.
Bye.
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 I hear a lot of people saying the blues, but I'm gonna tell you what the blues